Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the EV Bids podcast. I am Tory Hornsby with EV Bids. Alongside of me, I have Rod Stuckey. How you doing today, Rod?
I'm doing great, Tory. Good to be here as always.
Today, we have an exciting topic I think that a lot of people are interested in terms of which pre-owned electric vehicles qualify for the $4,000 tax credit. And there was big news from the IRS at the end of last year that took effect in January this year. Rod, why don't you tell us about that?
Starting January 1st, 2024, buyers can choose to transfer their used clean vehicle credit to a registered dealer in exchange for an equivalent reduction in the purchase price of the vehicle. So that's the IRS's fancy way of saying you can now get a $4,000 discount at the time of sale as opposed to waiting until you file your tax return, which is pretty awesome.
That is, I'm not sure what took them so long. I guess it's the government, right? But I think there's probably been people who had every intention of filing their tax return and getting a credit from the IRS and just didn't do it. So the fact that you can get it now as an equivalent discount off of the purchase price is huge. And we're actually extending this. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see here. We're actually extending this to private sales. So when you look at the very first requirement of this to get the tax credit is the vehicle has to be purchased from a dealership. So you've got all of these people out there who are selling their used EV that otherwise could potentially be eligible for this $4,000 tax credit, but it's not because they're not purchasing it from a dealership. It's private party. So we're stepping in here, and you can see here starting January 1st, 2024, that they can have a registered dealer handle that. And we're stepping in and bridging the gap on a private party sale to be able to let the buyer get this $4,000 credit, which is super exciting.
Yeah, it really is. One of the challenges with the program, and again, just we're going to be diving into the specific make and models, and it's been quite complicated to understand which vehicles. At a high level, everyone has kind of learned that the vehicles have to be sold for a purchase price of $25,000 or less, and that it has to be purchased from a registered dealer. What has still been a bit of a mystery is which specific year, make, and models are eligible, because there's been so many changes with regards to, well, the batteries have to be manufactured in the United States. And, this week, the Tesla model, Y is eligible, and then next month it's not. And so they've kind of cleaned it up. At least it feels that way. But before we dive in to the specific make and models, Tory, we might as well do a quick recap on the eligibility on the buyer side, and then after that we could jump into the specific make and models, because it just is pretty clumsy and cumbersome to understand.
Yep. So you can see over here, first and foremost, the amount may be provided in the form of cash, down payment, or partial payment for the purchase of the vehicle. Pretty interesting that the IRS is recognizing how a dealer works with consumers. So I appreciate that. But in terms of the individual eligibility, one of the first things that I think most people should understand is that there is an income limitation for used clean vehicles. Let me scroll up here, center of the screen. Married filing jointly or filing as a qualifying widower or widow is $150,000 income limit. So if you make more than 150 grand a year, you're not eligible for the tax credit. Head of household is 112,500. All other taxpayers, $75,000. So that's the first thing in terms of individual eligibility. And you also can't have filed for and got the tax credit within the last year and a half, I think it is. So there is a limitation there too. So in other words, you can't just buy 10 used EVs in a year and get $40,000. So they do limit that. Then lastly, before we jump into the specific make and models here, I think most people understand that the model year of the vehicle has to be 2 years prior to the calendar year of the sale. So it's 2024, 2 calendar years would be 2022 and before. I don't think that's as big of a deal because they limit this, as you can see, to $25,000 sale price. So, I mean, there's not a lot of 2022 models that are going to be selling for less than $25,000, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And then lastly, the vehicle can't have been purchased, or what they call a transfer, since August 16th, 2022. So if you purchased your current car in January of 2023 and now you're selling it, it would not be eligible for the tax credit. But if you purchased it in August 1st or August 15th or anytime before August 16th, 2022, it is eligible for the tax credit for the buyer. Did I say that well enough? Does that make sense, you think, Rod?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. They want to be sure and protect themselves to ensure that people aren't doubling down and filing for a tax credit. Technically for this is the first time, 2024, that you could get the tax credit at the point of sale. So there previously could be people that are still going to claim a credit for their 2023 taxes, and this is a way for them to ensure that people aren't double dipping. So it does make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They don't want give the $4,000 on the same car twice.
Right.
So moving on now into how to determine the specific makes and models. I think that, from the battery percentages and all of that, is if it's a plug-in, a hybrid electric vehicle, or if it's, a fuel cell vehicle, you can actually see this. Let me zoom in down here on this site. FCV, fuel cell vehicle, PHEV is a plug-in hybrid vehicle, and then EV is all electric. So there was a lot of questions about what percentage of the battery was made where and what is eligible and what's not. This actually is a really clean, good website that the government created, fueleconomy.gov. For those listening to the podcast, we'll put this link in the description of the podcast. But it allows you to come down, put in the sale price. And first thing I'll note here is if you put in a price of over $25,000, it's going to say, whoa, sale price exceeds $25,000. It does not qualify. But all the way up to, on the nose, $25,000, it will tell you that it's eligible for the $4,000 tax credit. And then you can filter the vehicles below by year, a range of years, and then also by make and specific model. But what I like to do, this is what we've been doing, Rod, is we'll come down and just say, what Chevrolet models are eligible? Just, period, all Chevrolet models. And so here we can see that Chevrolet, the Bolt from 2017 to 2021, the Bolt EV from 2022, and then each model after that. I won't read all of these, but it gives you which vehicles are eligible. Let's say we wanted to see what Tesla models are, because, most of them are. That's a big one here. But the Tesla, Model 3, 2017 to 22, so forth and so on, all the way down. I'll
go back real quick to that, Tory.
Which one? Tesla?
One.
Okay.
The Tesla one, just real quick, something that jumped out to me. The Model Y, the X is only showing through 2021. So I don't know if, and the S. So I was kind of curious, does that mean
the battery percentage?
2022 X and Ys aren't eligible? Now, here's the other point. As I'm saying this out loud, you're probably not going to get a 2022 X or Y for under 25,000. And that's what's, when you go and look at this list, what jumps out at me is there's a lot of, German cars and nicer cars that you're going to see that are eligible that you're never going to find for under 25,000. So that's kind of another thing to factor into this. But for some reason, I thought earlier I saw the Ys weren't eligible, but you know what? Maybe it was earlier. No, never mind. So
yeah, because the Y is a newer model, but the
yeah.
X, you go, there are 2022 X's. Why aren't they on here? And the answer to that is likely because the battery percentage, it doesn't equate to what the IRS will give the credit for, because it does tie to that. And again, that's what they've solved with this website. Is it's no longer confusing to know what percentage of my battery was made in America, and all of the different confusing points to this to determine eligibility. It's now really easy to come in. You can put in a specific year, make, model, and it'll tell you, yes, it is eligible. I'm going to move and just look at Ford, because some people who are potentially looking for a used EV and are maybe going, I would love for Uncle Sam to pay for $4,000 of my car. It's kind of how I look at this. I think, Rod, you probably look at it the same way here. As if Uncle Sam is willing to pay for $4,000, why not let him, right?
Absolutely. And again, this is essentially a $4,000 discount at the point of sale, which is much different than a tax write-off the following year. So,
but if I'm looking,
did you while you had those Fords pulled up, Tory, just for the people that can't see your screen, let's read through those models real quick, because it's pretty interesting. You've got the Mach-E from 2021, 22. Again, that's questionable if that's going to be under 25,000. Probably not.
Not right now, but maybe in a year from now or 2 years.
Yeah. But I'm kind of a little bit, not as well versed on the plug-in hybrids, and I think that's a question a lot of people have is, what are hybrids eligible? Yes, they are. You got a Fusion from 2013 to 2020, which is a hybrid. You got an Escape plug-in from 20 to 22 eligible. And then, of course, they show the Lightning, Ford Lightning. That's the brand new truck 2022 on here. You're not going to probably find one of those anywhere under 25 grand. I didn't even know about the Focus Electric from 2012 to 2018 that's eligible. So, yeah, hybrids are eligible.
And that Focus Electric, I would say you can probably find a pretty good deal on a Focus Electric, and saving $4,000 off of it is pretty amazing. Now, it is up to 30% of the sales price, so that's another important thing to factor in here. So if you buy a $10,000 used electric vehicle, 30% is $3,000.
Right. So
it is 30% up to $4,000. But I'm going to switch back over here to Toyota, because I'm a car guy, and so for me personally, I'm not I'm not a guy that would drive a Prius. I'm more of a performance EV type of person, but I can appreciate that a lot of people are budget friendly, and they want to get a Toyota Prius. And look at this, 2017 to 2022, the Prius Prime plug-in hybrid. I bet that you can find some of those out there, 2017, that are $15,000. And then Uncle Sam, 30% is more than $4,000. So you can save $4,000, get a $15,000 car for 11. That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah. That's I was kind of surprised to see the plug-in hybrids, like these Priuses. I mean, these things are everywhere. And then you also have the RAV4, which is a hybrid from 21, 22. Now, I don't know if you're probably not, that may be pressed on the 25K limit, but then
maybe
also one other category we hadn't talked about, Tory, that I don't know, does anybody else make a fuel cell vehicle other than Toyota? Mariah from 2016 to 2022 is eligible as well. And
that's a hydrogen car. So I think if you're in a city and you can find one of those, I don't know the prices on those. I've not researched them. I know the car, and I know that it is hydrogen. Pretty cool concept, but I think in the long run, electric is going to win out over the fuel cell. And that's a topic for another podcast that we need to do. We need to put that on the schedule. Fuel cell and hydrogen versus electric. But yeah, fuel cell vehicles are eligible if you can find one. Again, a used one for less than $25,000 or up to $25,000.
Well, Tory, let's take a look at a Kia and a Hyundai, maybe.
Yeah, so Kia, there's a lot. You've got the Soul EV from 15 to 20, 2015, 2020. The Sorento plug-in hybrid, Optima plug-in hybrid. Well, the Sorento plug-in hybrid is only 2022. So it's, again, that $25,000 cap is going to get you there. But the Nero plug-in, the Nero EV from 2018, 2019. So there's a lot of good vehicles there. Let's look at a Hyundai here. There's a lot from Hyundai. I was surprised to see the listing here. I didn't realize how many hybrid vehicles they made. Everything from, and again, we won't list out all the years here, but the Tucson, the Sonata, the Santa Fe, Nexo, the Kona, the Ioniq, all different variations of those that are plug-in hybrid, electric vehicle, or fuel cell. There's a couple of fuel cell vehicles are eligible for the $4,000 credit. So that's a lot from Hyundai.
Yeah.
And then just one more here. Let's look at Honda, the Clarity. I'm not even familiar with the Honda Clarity. I don't know if that's something.
One that's surprising. Yeah, Mercedes and even Audi. Look at all the Audis. I don't know if you're going to get any of these Audis under 25K, but there's a bunch of them.
Yep. Maybe some of those that are, 2016, 8 years old. I could see some of those getting to the place to where they're $25,000.
Yeah, the e-trons are pretty popular. They go back to 2019, but looks like those are all pretty current on the Mercedes, and the Audi's probably going to be a stretch.
And something noteworthy here, Rod, I think we should mention is that the source of this, again, this is fueleconomy.gov. The source is the Internal Revenue Service, and it was updated January 16th, 2024. So we're not looking at old data here that could potentially be incorrect. This is new as of January 16th, 2024. And from what I understand, they're going to keep this updated as new vehicles are produced. Yep. So that's it. Just a quick podcast here of trying to clear out the confusion and help people understand, number one, eligibility from a buyer, a person eligibility, but also resolving some of the confusion around identifying which vehicles are eligible for the $4,000 tax credit. And I hope that this has helped you guys. Rod, any other comments before we end here?
Yeah, just want to remind everybody that we do specialize in private party sales and allowing private parties to become eligible. We will broker your deal between a private party buyer and seller to ensure that both the vehicle and the buyer meet these requirements. We'll handle the transaction to make it safe and secure, and that includes if there's liens and payoffs and title work that needs to be done. So we really act as that objective third party to make the transaction safe and secure and allow private parties to get this $4,000 tax credit. And to your point, Tory, if you're buying it's real money up to 30%. If you're buying a $15,000 Prius and you get $4,000 off of that, that's real money. So
that's a lot.
It's a pretty good program from the IRS. The fact that you get it right at the point of sale. So check us out at evbids.com. Click on the tax credit page. You can fill out the form, and hey, you can call us. You have any questions? We're not like these tech companies. We'll get on the phone with you and we'll hash it out and figure it out and see if you or your vehicle are eligible.
In fact, that's a call that I often make. So you might even get a phone call directly from me. I really appreciate working with people to get this handled. So yeah, check us out here, guys. Thanks so much again for joining us this episode. And for Rod Stuckey, I'm Tory Hornsby with EV Bids, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.